Hello, everyone. I'm Madhura Kumar. I am a product manager at Juniper Security, and my area of focus are products in the realm of security analytics and management. So I want to talk to you today about Security Director Insights, right? And as I want to sort of go into this, I want to take a step back and give you all a quick background on Security Director itself. So Security Director is our management software product for Juniper SRX devices. It can also extend into other use cases, especially around MX and such. But its core, what it is a security management product that really provides you all of the abilities around firewall and IPS management, security services, unified threat management, many additional management abilities around the firewall use cases. So Security Director Insights, really what it does is extends the detection and response use case to this centralized management product that we have with Security Director. So it takes the power of network and security monitoring that we have with SD and adds the threat insights that we've been talking about all this morning and what Munir will also go into later. And then we add and introduce the response element with the mitigation playbooks in a very operation focused manner to promote management efficiency. And really what kind of helps customers achieve with this product is really some of these key things, right? So, alert fatigue is a common theme. It's not just specific today, but you hear about it all the time. And there's also just having a lot of data, having a lot of information. So the answer to that, when you kind of look at what is in the market, what you ask of customers is the SIM products, right? So they are your one console where everything comes in, you have all of your alerts in one place, you manage from there, and they are really good in what they do. And in fact, if you look at market trends and many of the research that has happened, one of the things that analysts especially constantly reaffirm is that many customers feel that their ROI on SIM products are pretty strong and they see it as a valuable asset. So we believe in the same that, the SIM, which provides you that viewpoint of all of the alerts coming in is really valuable. But where we can see the extension to that is where you can actually look at it not just as alerts coming in from different streams or sources, but also adding an element of correlation across those different streams that are coming in to create really high fidelity signals so that in an operational way, you as an admin can sit there and see this is a more high priority incident for me because it's validated not just by it coming from my SRX, but it's also validated by my endpoint. It can also be validated by some other source. So I know that this is more important, highly urgent because it's noticed across different sources. And where the operational efficiency comes in is not just in saying, hey, I've correlated across these different sources, but in saying if one of those sources has already taken a certain action on this particular alert. The example I give is, say, an employee or a user came in, they accessed a particular sensitive file or an asset in your network, and your endpoints notice that it has a certain malicious signature, that particular file or even the access itself. If the endpoint has already taken the action of blocking that access, right? And even if that same pattern has been noticed on the SRX as, hey, there was this particular signature that was identified with the file that was transacted, for the admin, the important thing there or the more urgent thing there is to all look at where all this is spread across the firewall logs versus just handling it on the endpoint. So the idea is of a detection response led use case where you're responding in a more meaningful fashion, where you're able to say what's more urgent, what can be looked at to give you a broader picture. And all of this is built with that key notion that Kate kind of touched upon earlier, the notion of connected security. We at Juniper believe that you will almost never, I would say, meet a customer or a organization which is all things for one particular vendor, which means that you always exist in the world of third party. I mean, to me, it's a third party, right? Other vendors that are in a particular customer's environment. So to me, what it means is that I need to be a good ecosystem player for a customer, which means that my detection and response use case that I'm promoting with SDI or Security Director Insights is to actually be set up in such a way that as a customer, we are then helping you leverage existing investments, have better ROI in all of the things that you have going today. And that is really how we look at the use cases for Security Director Insights. And I'll walk through this in a quick sort of a demo video I have at the end of it, where I can show some of the highlights of what this product is. But the use cases are really about incident management, mitigation, as well as analytics. And when I say incident management, as you all know, it's not alert management. It's not just ingesting some logs and sort of calling them incidents, but it's about ingesting the logs, normalizing it to map to business process speak, mapping context to it, correlation of those events to say, what is more critical, what is more urgent, what is really amplified by multiple sources, what is maybe from a single source, but a higher risk for me. And that is how I actually get into the, one of those ongoing themes of risk assessment and how do I remediate or mitigate based on how I see a particular stream's risk. And analytics we spoke to, this is a key piece, the current view of analytics, which is really, I'm very happy to see it from the previous view of analytics being just visualize everything that you see and just show it on your screen. It's evolved across our products, not just at Juniper, but in the industry as a whole, to actually be more intelligent. Analytics is all about really getting all of that information, up-leveling it so that you are showing your administrators, your operators, really making sense of it, right? Help them make sense of it. It's saying, hey, this is the timeline of this particular individual user, what all happened across their day today that might help you understand how a particular breakdown happened. And it's also about bringing in additional threat intelligence, and a lot of it Munir will go into later afterwards today, is to say, hey, these are all the things I know that are happening in the broader sort of ecosystem, and how do I see that relate to, say, campaigns that might be targeting your organization and such. So detection of anomalies and things like that, building that a bigger picture story is part of the analytics use case that we see. With that, I do want to quickly kind of go into a quick demo. So the way I'm going to present this is really touch upon the key use cases we talked about previously, which is the incident management piece. How do you respond to it? And really giving you an idea of how we look at Security Director Insights as the start of a journey in this sort of detection response, which is not just about bringing detection from Juniper products, but also additional security products a customer might have. So the way I see it is, as I mentioned, this is really the start of it is, right, the security incidents view, where all of the incidents come in. And what you're looking at is, say, you can have incidents which come from Juniper SRX to CrowdStrike to Symantec, all of this in one place. How do they come in here, right? You set up your log sources, and this is where third-party log sources can be brought into the system. And when you go into the log parser itself, what you're actually doing is really mapping that business process field mapping to the different logs so that you're normalizing them to present in one singular language. And this is really helpful because from a firewall administrator's perspective, they can then say, this is what this particular field maps to across different products, because that is how I have set up. So from there, you can actually say, hey, I've brought in the log. So now I'm going to go into individual events, which are coming from different sources, and give them a particular, say, severity. I'm going to say, hey, for me, this particular file hash, when it is identified, that's always going to be a higher severity event. So on a per event, I can score it to be a high severity event or lower. And the incident is where you bring that correlation across the different events. You can say, I have 3 or 4 events coming in. I can look at all of them. And if I see a particular thing happen across all of them, that's when I raise the severity. Or I can say, I'll do it only if I see it even in any of them. And once all of those things result in creating these incidents, this is where we enrich the incident itself with threat information that we know and we can bring in from different sources. And the incident itself is really geared towards giving you that enriched view on a specific incident, but also very much about the workflow part where you can mitigate an incident, create tickets and things like that. And this is really important for that operational efficiency that I talked about. So in this case, what I'm doing is really showing you how I can quickly enable mitigation by pushing this particular IP address into our threat feed. For instance, I can do that very quickly from the screen. Or if I think that it needs further investigation in a certain format, I can say, raise a ServiceNow ticket and such. So all in all, what we are looking at is really a way to give your administrators, operational administrators especially, very quick, simple way to mitigate things or respond to incidents as they come in. But the incidents themselves are curated by that correlation across different streams, contextualization based on a single stream and such. So stepping into
just one question.
Yeah, yes, please.
Just one question regarding, just to get it right here. Are you positioning yourself more in the SOA stream where you have also the response action included against the traditional CM kind of applications? Yeah.
No, that's a great question. So this is one of those areas which I think is an evolving conversation. If you look at a lot of the SIM vendors today, they have also started adding SOAR capabilities as part of their arsenal, right? I think you've seen that with Splunk, with Phantom, IBM, with Resilient and such. So the way I would answer this question is SOARs are great for what they can do, which is the advanced playbooks for orchestration and such, which are still very much required. What we are addressing is that operational ability of orchestration, which is simpler, let's say one-click response playbooks. So it is sort of trending in that SOAR direction, but we are not talking about full-on playbooks, which are very much more involved in terms of how you script it, how you set it up. We are talking about, hey, I'm a management person on a firewall today, and I have my lateral firewall use case, which touches an endpoint, which touches certain cloud repositories. It can even have, a reach into some threat feeds and things like that. For me, my orchestrated response is more simpler. It's simpler mitigation that I want to achieve, which is all about one-click, quick way of doing it versus the sort of way of more detailed playbooks. I will say that in the future, there is definitely promise and room and ambition towards having more advanced playbooks. But our sort of viewpoint today is to really focus on getting that quick response playbooks going, and then we can expand on it.
So it looks like this is ready for use. I can give it my SOC. They can actually use it and don't need 30 experts that are crafting the playbooks for them in long term to get automation up and running and testing and so on. Yeah.
Exactly. Our view is that while that is great and there's great value in that, we want to really focus on the operational users who just need this to get going sooner than spend all that time and investment getting it going.
And there are many organizations, I guess, that don't have 30 developers that have nothing to do than to create these playbooks. So it's I think a good place to be where you give something your customers that is ready to use and predefined from Juniper. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, Dominic, the way we are thinking about it. And one of the things that I've heard again, and this kind of goes into where we are headed with this, is a lot of the times, especially when you're in this mode where, I mean, let's say a firewall admin, right? Previously, a firewall management admin's really focus was just this network perimeter bound kind of thing. But there's so much more that they have to reach into, they have to be aware of. And that is how we see the use of this, utility of this, that this brings that awareness from different sources to them, and it makes them operationally more agile and quickly able to respond to things that has I would say, dependency on them. So they're not looking at SOAR playbooks, which can be very much in the SOC wheelhouse. And there's, like, as you said, 30 different engineers who are sitting there, building up to it and working on it. And there is use for that. I would not dispute that. But if I am looking at operational efficiency, I want something that helps me get going from day one. And that is what we are working on with this. And that's really the vision of this, right? So promoting that manageability, a lot of the things that we talked about earlier, especially Kedar's and Laurent's a sort of demo of the cloud workload protection, right? Promoting all of that, reaching into those areas. The threat insights, which is, if you're a security company, there's always a threat is sort of where you're getting your mainstay in terms of, getting to counter those things with this product. And then the big one is the identity piece in terms of responding based on the enforcement of points, be it a end user or IoT. Just tying all of these things together is where Security Director Insights is.
You may have already stated this. Is this a SaaS solution, or can I run this on premises?
It's a great question. So today it is on premise. We are getting to the SaaS portion very quickly. I will say really very quickly, because we are in the process of starting a beta for one of our key flagship SaaS offerings very soon. And this kind of gets to move with it in the coming months. Dare I say, if I want to go into a little more I don't want to get very specific, especially in the context of the forum of this is in, but yeah, it's coming out very soon.
Okay, one other question. So the third-party logs that you store, do you store those in a database, or do you reference the original, or okay?
So we have both mechanisms. So today, the way we are looking at it is architecturally, we do bring in the pertinent bits of the log, as in we don't bring in the entirety of the logs. We give you, the administrator, the option to bring in certain fields only and store that on the product. But as we go, we've rolled this out to customers. And one of the things that we've learned is that, hey, if I have my log sources in the cloud, can you just map to it directly and pull it from there? So that's another architectural avenue we are taking in terms of broadening the use case to have both the on-premise sort of bring everything in, or the ability to just query or pull from additional sources. One of the things we always look at it is, when you actually talk to customers about use cases such as this, for many customers, they like that hybrid notion where both of those are available, because based on the product they're pulling the logs from, they may choose a different option. So we are working our way towards that hybrid kind of deployment.
Thank you.
But you can do both. You can do either or, because my concern is really from a GDPR standpoint. If you're pulling the log somewhere else, now you got to go down the whole road of proving GDPR compliancy.
Yeah, no, great point, Evan. Today, we are very much about the on-premise. So we are not really pulling the logs directly from the cloud today, or we bring it in from the sources that the customers has on-premise.
That could also be a question of volume. I mean, logs are huge if you're pulling all of them in. This is just going to fill up all the internet links probably. That's absolutely true. And that's one of the reasons why the way we look at it is we map to the certain fields. We don't bring everything in the log. We actually bring in the necessary bits that admin says, hey, is required for them to really understand what's going on. And it's also one of the things where, folks don't want to push every log that they have to yet another product. So that's why I kind of started out by saying SIMs are great, but they have become this pool where everything comes in, and we want to really have a straw to the pool and sort of bring in the pertinent bits.